All right, so we're starting with our head. We have a curve at the top, two flattened sides, small curve at the bottom for the chin, and then a triangle for the mouth area, and then sort of a band that goes across the eyes that comes to a V at the top and the bottom and finishes off. We're using a character turnaround template that is 8 heads tall. So if I counted this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we gestured our pose. This is the front view. So the top head is going to, or the top head measurement of our 8 heads tall character includes the head only. The neck is going to come down 1/3 of the way into the second head measurement. So here's our neck right here, and we're going to finish it off like that. So it's 1/3 of the way down in the second head. And then we're going to add a clavicle line on either side. So this clavicle line is going to come up on either side, being connected with another line that relates to the muscle known as the trapezius, which is the back neck muscle, but you can see a portion of it in the shoulders from the front. Once we do that, the remaining portion of this second head measurement for our chest area, we're just going to be putting a slanted line on either side to the bottom of that second head measurement. Now we're going to go into the third head measurement, and what we're going to do is we're going to come to from the bottom of this line, and we're going to curve in towards the middle. So now what we're doing is we're representing the chest area, part of the rib cage that's curving over there, and then also the latissimus dorsi, which is a back muscle that you see from the side of the rib cage. And then we're going to put a small curve here and here. That'll help to define our waist. And we're going to put a triangle that sort of mimics the triangle that we're using for the mouth. So we have a repetitious shape occurring in our character. Right under the third head measurement, we have a belt. So we're putting the top of the belt right at that line, and then we're coming down a small bit to put the bottom edge of the belt, and we'll even put a little square right there in the middle. So we have already established the mid portion of our character, starting at the first head measurement and coming down 3 heads. Now that we're into our fourth head, we're going to be drawing the beginning of the pelvis leading into the legs. So here we're going to have a line that's flat. We don't come down to the bottom of that head measurement. We come about 2/3 of the way down, and then we curve it towards the middle, flatten it off, and curve it back out like that. So it almost looks like he has shorts, almost like a superhero. He's a character that looks like he has his identity masked. He's wearing a helmet, a band over his eyes. We're going to do his legs now. We're going to come down. So we've already come down 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth head. We have 4 more heads to go. So as we're defining our legs, we're going to come down. This is the 5th head right here. We're going to skip that and go into the 6th head. And right in the middle, we're going to put a circle for our kneecap. That way we can bring a line from where the shorts end here out to the top of that kneecap. And then we'll bring another arc here that's going to go down just a little bit lower and end maybe midway of that kneecap. We can put a kneecap here as well. So we're going straight across, and we'll do the same thing. We'll bring an arc here, out to the top of that circle, and then we'll bring an arc like this that curves in towards the lower part of the circle. So now as we get into the lower part, this is our last couple of head measurements. So we're already 5.5 into it. So what we're gonna do is come down towards the bottom. So we skip this head measurement, the 7th, and we go into the 8th. And about 1/3 down, we're gonna put a circle for the ankle. We'll do that here and here. And on this side, the leg will be flat, and then another straight line coming down to that circle, the ankle. The inside will come out and it will curve in. That's your calf. And then we'll have a straight line right there. The foot, we're going to have a rounded form in the front of the foot where it ends, and that will come down and flatten off. So we remember that when we did our character design last week. And then over here, we're going to come in straight, flatten it off, and then add a curve to connect. So basically, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to bring out a straight line and then another straight line coming down. Over here, we're going to swing it out for the calf muscle with a straight line coming down into the ankle. We're going to put up the front of the foot, flatten it off, finish with a curve here, and then we're going to go in, flatten it off there, and then add your curve for your ankle and your heel. So that is our leg association for our character. So now if I pull back a little bit, you can see we have everything but the arms. And we have essentially 1, 2, 3 to the belt, 3 heads. Then 4 represents the pelvis. And then 5, 6, 7, and 8 represent the legs and the feet. So we're gonna go up close to the shoulders and do the one side. We're still in the second head right here. You can see the shoulder beginning at the chest here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring out, at the top of this line, we're gonna bring out a rounded form for our shoulder. And then it's gonna come to a point or a V and then come back in. And so that's taking us not quite down to the bottom of the second head. So there's still a little space there. So starting right here, we're going to flatten this off a little bit. And we're going to curve in, and we're going to go about 2/3 of the way down and put a circle. That's going to represent where our elbow is going to be. And then here, we'll just kind of bring it out and curve it up and have it disappear behind the chest. And then for the lower part of our arm, we're going to put, so this is our second head, third head right here, and this is the fourth head. We're going to go a little bit into the fifth head as well for the hand. So if we come down past the fourth and just at the top of the fifth, we put a circle for the wrist. Then we can bring a curve connecting the elbow to the wrist. Over here, we'll kind of do what we did in the inside of the leg. We'll curve it like this, and then we'll bring it in with a straight. That way, we're making a hand down here that the fist, it's in a fist formation. So from the wrist, we're going to bring out some angles. We're going to come down about 2/3 of the way down in this fifth head here. And there we go. All right, let's go to the other side. So let me pull that back so you can see the whole thing. Now we're going to come up over here. And we're going to do our rounded form for the shoulder. We're going to bring it down to a point and curve it back in. And then for this third head right here, we're going to go about 2/3 of the way down and put a circle where the elbow would be. That way we can bring a connection on this side as well as this side for the upper arm area. So this is biceps with some of the triceps showing. And then for the remaining part of the arm that we can see over here that we're going to be doing on this side, you can see that we want to go down to our wrist, which is, we're going to skip the fourth head and go into the top of the fifth and put a circle for your wrist. So that now on the inside of the lower arm, we swing it in and flatten it off. Where here, we just use one arc. And then our hand, we have it looking like it's a closed fist. There you go. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit so that you can see the whole character from the front view. This is what we're going to be building off of for the next two views. The second view is going to represent more of a 3/4 turn. So that means this is straight on, and then the character is going to start to turn slightly to the right. So you'll see how things are going to change for that. It's going to make it a little bit more challenging, but I know you guys are up for the challenge. All right, so we're going to be drawing our straight line because you want to have something to make comparisons with. And so drawing a straight line is a good way to do that. And then we're going to gesture our head, neck, shoulders, torso. And then we're going to come down this leg into the foot. The other leg is going to be slightly over more. So one leg is going to be closer to the midline, almost touching it, where the other one's going to be slightly over. So that's going to help determine some of that 3/4 turn. And then the arm is gestured in over here, which is going to be closer to the torso, where over here, the arm is going to be a little bit away from the torso. All right, so let's get started with our head. So our head is going to look pretty similar to the front view. So we're not really turning that head as much as everything else. So here's our curve, our straight line that goes not quite to the bottom. And then we can start to curve this in, flatten it off for the chin, and come back. We'll put our triangle at the mouth. And then our mask, or covering for the eyes, the band over the eyes, we should say, that has a V in the middle. And then coming off of this is our neck. What we're going to do with the neck is we're going to bring, and I'm going to come in just a little bit closer for this so you can see. The side of the neck here, we're going to make the neck a teeny bit wider. And right when it comes in here, it's going to come down and make a little notch. And then it's going to come over and come up like that. So that's the notch of our sternum. So our sternum is going to be sliding over a little bit. And that is going to help it's turning. The clavicle on this side is going to be a lot shorter than it is on this side. So the clavicle is going to come out a little bit longer. So you'll see a smaller triangle for your trapezius here and a longer triangle for the trapezius on the other side. So already this is getting more compressed right here. Just because we slid over, that usually is in the middle. Back a teeny bit, because we're going to do our chest area. So we're going to be coming down into the next two heads. So on this side, because this is shorter in here, we're going to bring a little straight, and then we're going to bring out a curve like this. We bring it down straight like that at the waist. Over here for our clavicle. So we're going to start at the clavicle up here, and we're going to curve in, curve this out a little bit wider at the chest, and then finish off at the waist. And then we can go ahead and put at the bottom of the third head line, we'll put that top of the belt, bring the belt down a little bit, and that little rectangle in the middle. So the triangle is going to be put in here as well that we used in our first design. So I'm going to pull that back a little bit. And we're going to add on the shorts. So again, everything is a little bit longer on this side. So this will come down and curve in. Just by having this shifted a little bit, it makes this side look shorter. And then the next thing that's really going to matter in this sort of three-quarter pose is the fact that here the legs look evenly spaced from that midline that we drew. Where here, this leg is going to be almost touching that midline. So we're going to come down, this is the 5th, and into the 6th head, about 1/3 of the way down, we're going to put our knee. And look at how that knee is very close to this line right here. So that I'm going to go ahead and put my outer arc and my inner arc coming and attaching right there. And you can see this arc does touch that line. And I'm going to come over here and put the kneecap, but of course I have much more distance from that line than I do over here. So let me bring that a little closer so you can see. So there you go. There's our line. Look at how close that is. Look at how far that is. So that now I can go ahead and make my attachment here and there. All right, so we're getting our lower leg ready to go. There's our gesture. What we're going to do is we're going to come down to the ankle. The ankle is very close to the line. It's in that 8th head. Come down just at the top there, just a little bit below that. We'll do that there. And then here we'll come over, just like we did for the knee up above. So it's not touching that line, it's just below it. On this side, we'll just put an arc. On this side, we're curving it in and then a straight line to allow for the calf muscles. We call them the gastrocnemius. Now we're going to see a side view of the foot. So here's the heel, it's flat right there. And then we'll just kind of swing it up like that. Where on this side, we'll keep the foot similar to the way it was in the front view. So now we've got this, the outer arc goes like this, the inside arc, still adding that extra curve right here for the calf muscles. There you go. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Now we're going to zoom in on the arms and show you how the arm on this side is going to be almost, part of it's going to be behind the chest, where over here, the arm, we will see it in its entirety. So let's zoom in on this shoulder area. So we'll have it rounded at the top right here where the trapezius ends, but we're not going to see as much of that. So we're going to see just part. It's going to swing out and cut in, and that disappears behind. And in this next head, which is the 3rd head, we're going to come down 2/3 of the way and put a circle right here where our elbow would be. And then our arc is going to go like this, and then it's going to curve in. And then we'll have another curve that'll go behind the chest. So that's for the biceps area. Now in the fourth head area, we'll skip down into the fifth, and just at the top, we'll put the circle for the wrist. So what we're gonna do is bring out a slant and another slant like this. And then we're gonna curve this and have part of it just sort of touch the edge of the leg there. And then our hand is really gonna disappear behind the leg. So let me pull this back so you can see what I'm talking about. See how that arm is much closer? Let's look at that one and then look at this one. See how you can see the whole thing? Where here we compressed it and we brought it in so that it looks like part of this area where the biceps and triceps are is behind the chest. So that gives the impression that this figure is starting to turn. On this side, we will see the shoulder in its entirety. The shape will change a little bit. Flatten it off here. Bring it in like this, bring it into a point, and then back up. And then just as we're getting down to the bottom of this third head, we're going to put the circle for the elbow, and we'll go ahead and connect with an arc, and then another arc like that. So now in this part, we're going to have to come down and skip this fourth head into the fifth, put a circle right here so that we can add a small curve and then a straight line, flatten it here and bring it back in, and then go ahead and make our feeling of the fist. There we go. So I'm going to bring this back so not only can you see that figure, but I want you to see the two together so you can see how this figure turning into this figure, we compressed this side, and now it gives the impression that the figure is starting to turn, which is going to lead us into our third drawing, which is a profile view. All right, so we're going to jump over here. We have just enough space for that last figure. And because we're doing the profile, it's not as wide. So over here is where I'm going to put my line. And then I'm going to go ahead and gesture the head, the neck, the rib cage, chest and waist area, pelvis. And then we're going to come down into the legs and into the feet. All right, now the thing that's going to be different about this is that we're going to have the arm. Let me show you on the finished one. We're going to have the arm overlapping the torso right here. So as we get into the torso, we'll be also including the arm in this position. So just know that we'll be kind of going back and forth from all of those to position this in, just because this is on top of the torso area. All right, let's go up to our head like we did before. And for the head, what we're going to do is we're going to do more of an oval. And in the back, it sort of curves in about 2/3 of the way down. And then the front comes down like this to the chin, right at the bottom of that first head. And then we put a small arc to finish that off. And we're going to do part of our triangle, half of our triangle. And then we'll draw the part of the band that covers the eyes. We'll do that here, comes to a point, comes back, and then there's a circle where we might have an ear. So let me bring that closer so you can see it. Coming off of that head is going to be the neck. And the neck comes in at an angle, goes into the second head, and then we finish it off with a curve. So I'm going to lower this a little bit so I can come in a teeny bit better. There we go. So here's what we're going to do. On this side of our line, our balance line, we're going to put an arc that comes down past the second head and into the third about midway. So it's going to go like this. This is the back of the rib cage. Sorry, I bumped the easel. Apologize for that. And then over here, we see a little bit of the shoulder plate and then most of the shoulder plate coming like this to another point. And then it creeps into the third head just at the top there, and then we connect it again. So that's the top of your shoulder plate. So we're into the 1, 2, this is the third head. And underneath this shoulder plate, just before we get to the bottom of this third head, we're going to put a circle. That's going to be our elbow. So that we can connect an arc here on the front and an arc here from the back. So that's triceps, biceps. Then we're going to do the front of the chest. So we have the rib cage in the back. In the front here, we're going to bring all the way to, we're going to come out from the shoulder about to right here. And so we're going to bring a nice curve like that. So that is your sternum leading into the chest. And then it's going to curve in like this. And then we'll go ahead and put an arc to the bottom of the third head. That's going to lead to our belt. Then we'll finish off a line right here where our spine will be connecting the rib cage into the pelvis. And I drew the belt all the way across. So now I'm going to erase a little bit of that because I'm going to finish off drawing the arm. And I don't want that to confuse you guys. So I'm going to get rid of a little bit of that line. I'm using charcoal, so it's a little dark, so I'm trying to lighten it up. Okay, so with the arm, the lower part of our arm, just like the other two, we go from this elbow, which is to the lower part of our third head, we're going past the fourth and into the fifth. So our wrist is going to be here just on this side of that midline that we put in. And that way we can bring a slanted line here and a slanted line coming down like that to connect the front of the arm. The back of the arm, we're just going to put a curve. And then for our hand, there's our feeling of the fisted hand. So now we've got our hand in there. We already have our chest. We need to finish our triangle, going across and down the triangle that's on the chest. And we'll do the front of the pelvis area, which goes out. When we get to the bottom of the fourth head, we start to curve it towards the wrist. And then we finish that curve on the other side. And then we're going to bring out the buttocks and bring it, curve it in like that. So let me just pull this back a little bit so you can see what we got. Awesome. All right, I'm going to lower this because as we get into the legs, we're going to come down into the fifth and sixth head. And right on the line, that midline that we drew, about 3/4 of the way down in that sixth head, we're going to put that circle for the knee. And then we'll go ahead and put a nice arc in the front connecting to that. And we'll do the same thing in the back, except since we're drawing two legs, we're going to put a second arc that's going to be coming towards the back like that. So it looks like there's two legs right next to each other. We'll even make a second circle for the knee in the back. Then in our lower leg, this is our 7th head. We'll come down into that 8th head. We're going to draw that circle just below that line. And now we can connect from the knee to the ankle. But back here, we'll do a straight, curve it in, and then another straight. And we'll do the same thing back here. We'll do a straight, curve it in, and then draw that next line right next to it. So this front foot, the foot that's closest to us, it's going to curve back into the heel. It's going to curve out like this. There's our front foot. And the foot that's behind, what we'll do to show it a little bit more is we'll curve it up a little bit higher and have it disappear like that, and have the heel also end a little bit higher. So you can see the back foot is here and the front foot. So now when I pull this back, you can see your overall side view. So I'm just going to leave that there for a second so you guys can look at it. And it's 8 heads tall. So this is our profile. Now we're going to go ahead and pull this back so we can see all 3 views. And there we go. There's our front, our 3/4, and our lateral view of our 3-character turnaround.